I am this close to confirming my Game Week 1 draft. There are just a few pieces of the puzzle left to put in place. In this video, I am going to reveal the players that are locked into my team and the two variations that include no Liverpool and double Liverpool. That is the deliberation I'm having right now. So make sure you do drop a like on the video. Make sure you do smash that subscribe button. We're so close to 6,000 subscribers, you legends. So without further ado, let's get into these drafts. Now, with every draft that I've created during preseason, I've stuck to these rules when I am making this team, and I think it is a good place to start when you are making a team, because you can go off in so many different directions. I think you always need a base to come back to, knowing that this is the structure you want. So just to quickly go through them, a 4 million goalkeeper. I'm not rotating goalkeepers. It's a strategy I've never enjoyed, so I'm always going to have a 4 million, and then I'll invest 4.5 or 5 into that one starting goalkeeper. Not fussing around with those rotating goalkeepers. Now, triple Arsenal, with those fixtures, I think it is just ridiculous to go against. And with those attacking assets being such good value, I need at least 2 of those, whether it be a forward and a midfielder or a double midfielder. And obviously in the defence, I think there's value there in the clean sheets, especially in the shape of Gabriel. So 3 Arsenal, 2 attacking assets. Double Man United is a minimum. Right now, it is very much a case of 1 defender, 1 midfielder. We don't have a forward in the game right now while we're waiting for Højbjerg to be announced. But double United with those fixtures is essential for my FPL drafts. Maximum of 2 starting forwards. I don't want to tread down the 3 forward strategy right now. I just don't think it is the best value. But I also don't want to be inflexible with a 4-5-1 strategy. So 2 starting forwards. Haaland's obviously 1. And right now I'm kind of going down that 8 million, 7.5 million bracket. I think going all the way down to the 6 million is a little bit dodgy, as it's tough to then go back up to those brilliant value players in that mid-price range. So 2 starting forwards in every draft that I have built. A Brighton midfielder. This is a team that accumulates 2 XG per game last season. I want a piece of that pie, and the midfielders are the route to go for, I believe, for a game time perspective. So I think having Brighton for the opening 3 is essential for all of our drafts. Ownership of a 7.5 million or 8 million midfielder. Now, what I mean by this is we got the Sakas, the Rashfords at 8.5 and 9. But I think at the 8 and 7.5, there is going to be at least one asset that emerges as amazing value. So that is Martinelli, Maddison, Foden. One of those, I believe, is going to be unbelievable value in the opening game weeks. And I want to be able to be flexible to move sideways in that chance. So there are chances it could be Martinelli at 8, but also at 7.5, I love the thought of Phil Foden to get double investment in that Man City attack. And I like the way the midfield looks by having that kind of price point in your team. So that has been locked into my drafts every single week. And last up, Haaland, Saka, Rashford. These boys are locked into my team. Every time I build a draft, I don't see a world where I go without those 3. Haaland ownership is outrageous. You can't go against him. I believe Saka is the pick of the bunch of the Arsenal midfielders just because of guaranteed game time on penalties, and generally he is just the golden boy in this team. And Rashford, being the top price player in that Man United team, it gives me the flexibility to go down to any option. And while we have him in the team, I think he's the biggest goal threat in that Man United side, and I want the goal scorer in any team, and he is that player. So these are the Game Week 1 Draft Essentials that I've been building my teams around. Let's get into my current FPL draft now. Okay, so kicking it off with goalkeepers and defenders, and we've seen some slight changes here. Onana between the sticks. I've been flirting between Onana. I've been flirting between Luke Shaw in defence. I'm currently on this strategy. Now, with Onana's preseason, we saw in a previous video that I've done, make sure you check it out, talking about the passes that he's been putting in preseason. And realistically, he is going to be a bonus point monster if they do keep a clean sheet, because he's going to have such a high bonus point baseline. So I'm currently fancying Onana. The reason why I really like Luke Shaw is with their home games that they have, Man United, I don't really see them coming into the cosh, meaning that attacking potential for Luke Shaw is where the big returns are going to be. I think Onana could do well, but in those games, I don't really see him accumulating save points. Therefore, it's probably just a safe 6-pointer, whereas Luke Shaw feels much more the higher FPL ceiling. But with this team structure that I've gone for, I can't afford another 5.5 million defender. So I like Onana as the pick at 5 million. Yes, I could go down to a 4.5 and then upgrade a Stupinan to a 5.5. So I could do Steele in goal and Luke Shaw in the defence. But right now I'm going for the Onana route because I think a Stupinan who's in the draft also has that really high ceiling with those opening 3 fixtures for Brighton. I think he's going to bomb forward like we saw last season. And a Stupinan's been a player that has been in pretty much all of my drafts. The main reason being is I just don't know exactly if Steele is number one. I think he's had a good pre-season, so I expect him to start the season between the sticks. But after game week 3, the fixtures are really dirty for Brighton. And although I like Estupiñán as a player, I want him for the first 3 and I'd happily sell him afterwards. Whereas if I go for Steele and goal, I hate making goalkeeper transfers. So I don't really want to be selling a goalkeeper after 3 weeks. Estupiñán feels like an easier sell after that period. Gabriel in defence. I haven't really been looking at any other Arsenal defender right now. He's the biggest goal threat in the team from set pieces. And I always want that player that has that high potential in goal scoring situations. So Gabriel is that man. I think his game time is pretty locked. And Arsenal's fixtures from a defensive perspective are very, very good. And a new man into the defence is John Stones at 5.5 million. Pre-season, he's been playing that midfield role. He's even picked up a goal. And it's very hard to look past him right now. End of the day, I want to invest in teams that are the best teams in the league, playing with great fixtures. And Man City are absolutely one of those teams. And I do see them picking up numerous clean sheets over this period. So it just feels wrong not to have a Man City defender in that team, especially one that is basically playing as a midfielder. Feels like a bit of a cheat code. So at 5.5 million, he is in my team. And it feels nice with this team because with 0.5 million in the bank, it does give me the flexibility if I want to upgrade any of these defenders to a Ben Chilwell in game week 3 or 4. That's the reason why I like this draft with the 0.5 million in the bank. Now, on the bench, I have Levi Colwill. I think he will start the season at 4.5. I know Chelsea have signed a new man only days ago, but I'm expecting him to be a right-sided centre-back. I don't think this will affect Levi Colwill's minutes. So at 4.5, I think he's a pick of the bunch right now. And Kabore at Luton, their new man, who will be a wing-back in their system. It looks like he's going to start, hopefully. And I think he's the best 4 million defender in the game right now. So that's the defence covered in this current draft. Moving into the midfield, those that have been tuning into my previous videos will know that Mitoma, Saka, Rashford have just been locked into my drafts week in, week out. Mitoma, as I said, is an essential for my team from a Brighton midfielder perspective. I haven't seen anyone in pre-season to suggest to me to move away from Mitoma to an Enciso or even a Solly March. I think Mitoma is the man that I want in that Brighton team. Now, what I like about this draft is that I get to have Fernandes and Phil Foden into this draft. Not having Trent Alexander-Arnold in the defence, which I haven't really touched on, is the fact that I get to accommodate an 8.5 million in Bruno and a 7.5 million in Foden. So this is the sacrifice that I'm making right now with this draft. I'm not having Trent Alexander-Arnold in between the defence, but I get to allocate that money to the midfielders. And what unbelievable value these midfielders are. With Bruno's game week 1 and 3 fixture, he looks like an unbelievable asset. And Phil Foden long term, if he does play as that left-sided midfielder, similar role that Gundogan played, I don't want him if he's playing the Grealish role, but if he's playing that midfield role in the centre, I absolutely want a piece of that. And right now, what I've seen in pre-season, I'm seeing good things from Phil Foden, and I want to get investment in that double Man City attack to get real value from their scoring. Because if it's just Haaland you're invested in, you're not getting any benefit from a rank perspective. So this midfield, I think, is a powerful midfield. Yes, I don't have Trent in the defence, but look what I'm gaining in the midfield. And I'm going to come to a draft in a minute, which of course has Trent in. And I'll show the sacrifices that you need to make. But this midfield looks unbelievable right now. And looking at the front line of this draft, again, these two have been an ever-present in my team when I've gone for this kind of structure with Gabriel Jesus and Erling Haaland. Now, as I said, Jesus has been in and out of some drafts, and I'm going to come on to those in a minute where I think there could be definitely value to go against him. But looking at his underlying stats from last season, when he was on the field, yes, his output wasn't as high as the other forwards, but his underlying numbers were right up there. And I do expect him still to be a focal point in this team, even though in pre-season the touch heat maps have shown that the wingers in Saka and Martinelli are the ones that are really stretching the game. I still think Gabriel Jesus is going to accumulate a lot of goal scoring opportunities in this team. And Mbama at 4.5 million looks like he could be the best 4.5 million forward, while we don't have the likes of Cameron Archer or Balogun getting their Premier League loan moves. I think Mbama could get some game time in West Ham, and that's enough for me to have him as a 4.5 million forward. So that's the team right now. As I said, it doesn't have Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is a negative, but the midfield is so strong. And what I like about it is I've got ownership in all of the big guns. Yes, I don't have Mo Salah, but I haven't really been considering him right now in my teams because I have to sacrifice so much to bring him in. So I like this draft right now, but let me show you an alternative with Trent and show you the sacrifices that you need to make. So here's how a team would look with Trent Alexander-Arnold squeezed in. I've made two changes just to make it very simple for you. I have taken out John Stones and brought in Trent Alexander-Arnold, which on the face of it feels like an upgrade because naturally being a player that you'd argue is more of a creative threat, playing for a good team. Would he get more clean sheets than John Stones? I don't think so. I think with Liverpool right now with their midfield situation, they're going to be in a transition period where they're probably going to score a lot of goals, but I don't think they're necessarily going to keep a lot of clean sheets. And we've had to downgrade Bruno Fernandes to Bryan Mbeumo. Now, is this a downgrade? Yes. Right, it is a downgrade. Playing in a worse team who accumulate only about 1.2 XG per 90 last season. And Bruno Fernandes is going to be an absolute guaranteed minutes in a top 4 team, arguably, potentially on penalties. Now, the reason why this team works is because Mbeumo is going to be a bit of an out-of-position player. Yes, he's a midfielder on the game, but the pre-season that we've seen at Brentford, he is definitely being that kind of main man in the team, playing on the right of a front three. On penalties, potentially, he has taken one already in pre-season, which is bonus when we are looking at a 6.5 million midfielder. And Brentford fixtures long-term are fantastic. So, with this team, yes, you are downgrading the 8.5 million midfielder to a 6.5, and it might not feel too good right now. You are gaining Mbeumo at 6.5, who's a penalty taker, but Trent at 8 million. And the beauty of this is, while you go for the first strategy, I think it's incredibly tough for you to move away from Bruno Fernandes at any point. So if you go for the first draft that I've shown you, Bruno Fernandes and John Stones in defence, I think you basically say to yourself, I'm going without Trent regardless, because Man United's fixtures, the impact that Bruno Fernandes has on that team, I see no world where you're going to be brave enough to say to yourself, I'm downgrading Bruno, I'm getting rid of him, and I'm going to upgrade John Stones to Trent. I don't see a world where that happens. Whereas if you go for this draft that you can see on your screens, I can see a world where if Trent goes blank, blank, and we see a few of them tricky Liverpool fixtures, I can see a world where we go downgrade Trent to Stones and upgrade Mbeumo to Bruno Fernandes in a heartbeat like that. So I do like this strategy of going for this draft because what it means is you can do that in a heartbeat and not worry about it. Whereas the other one, I think you are going to be structured in that position and you're not going to want to move away. So let me know which one you prefer in the comments. Last up, I want to show you a very, very different draft, but one that honestly I'm feeling very tempted by right now. So here we have what I'm going to call the Liverpool draft. And honestly, this one is so tempting. It's a 4-4-2, the first 4-4-2 of the preseason so far. And I'm really liking the way this is looking right now. So let's just quickly go through it. Onana between the sticks gives us that Man United coverage. I like him on the bonus point potential. Clean sheets look inevitable in game weeks 1 and 3. Look at the back four. We get Trent, we get Stones, we get Stupinan, and we get Gabriel. We've covered off on all of the big defenders. Yes, we don't have Chelsea, but my personal opinion is we invest in them in game week 3. And I'm going to come on to that in a minute. But we get Trent and Stones, which the previous draft I said I can only get one or the other. We're having both in this team. And what I love about having Trent, as I said, is you can come down to any defender at any point if he's not looking like good FPL value. And yes, we've got Kabor as our 5th defender, but we're never going to need him at all with this back four. Moving into midfield, we have Rashford still, we have Saka. Martinelli is at 8 million. I honestly think one of the best value players in the game. The reason why I haven't brought him into previous drafts is because I've gone for the Bruno Fernandes double up in midfield, and then I've gone for Gabriel Jesus up front. We're going to come on to that up front in a minute because I know you're looking at the main man there. But Martinelli, 8 million. I think the only risk right now is Leandro Trossard has been unbelievable in pre-season. But I still think Martinelli's minutes are going to be pretty secure. He's the only one in that team that offers that raw pace, that direct running that I think Arteta really deems essential when he plays Gabriel Jesus in the team. He needs those players that are going to break the lines and run beyond him. And I think Martinelli is absolutely that man. I think he's going to be locked in for minutes in the opening game weeks. Yes, he might only play 70, but I think 70 is enough for someone like Gabriel Martinelli. Mitoma, we still get that Brighton investment, and Saka, as I said, is an essential in my eyes, so he is in the draft. What have I sacrificed in this midfield? Well, of course, we're not going for the 5, so I haven't got an Mbeumo or even a Foden / Bruno Fernandes, which could be deemed a little bit of a problem. But we do have that 1 million in the bank. And that 1 million in the bank just gives us so much flexibility in this team. If I feel like I've missed the boat on a 7.5 or 8 million midfielder, like a Foden or a Maddison, we can simply upgrade Mitoma to there. Yes, we might have to make that sacrifice, but Mitoma after game week 3 is terrible for fixtures. So I like that potential upgrade along the way. And we already have the 8 million in Martinelli, so we can always downgrade from him worst case scenario. Now, up front, again, we're not talking about Haaland here. We're talking about Darwin Nunez. Now, yes, am I being reactionary because he scored goals in pre-season? Absolutely. But I think there's some logic there. Now, we're all talking about why we're all moaning that we're not going to get any Liverpool investment in game week 2 when they have that fantastic home fixture against Bournemouth. Well, I think Darwin Nunez could be the answer here. And hear me out. The reason why none of us are putting Darwin Nunez in our team is because we're worried about his minutes, and we're also saying that the 8 million forward is basically allocated for Gabriel Jesus. But if we go for Martinelli, I personally think Martinelli is a better option than Gabriel Jesus. So I've already covered off the Arsenal attack, so that's happy days. So at 7.5 million, Darwin Nunez feels like the answer. A game against Chelsea, which I think could go any way. And he is a crazy havoc player that could cause havoc for Chelsea in that game. But importantly, you're going to have him for game week 2. Now, is there a chance that he gets benched for Gakpo? Absolutely. But what I've seen in pre-season is he's linking up so well with the team. And as I've said before, I think Jurgen Klopp is creating a team here that is actually going to be benefiting Darwin Nunez, not Gakpo. The players that they have in the midfield, they're looking for players that are going to run beyond the defence. And Darwin Nunez is absolutely that man. Now they've got McAllister, now they've got Szoboszlai, all these players. These aren't players that are going to be breaking the lines and making third-man runs. These are the ones that are going to be linking up the play, nice little short passes. I don't think they need a Gakpo in there because they're doing the job for Gakpo. Darwin Nunez, for me, is the perfect answer in those opening game weeks. And the reason being is this. Game week 2, we have him at home against Bournemouth. That could be a 6-0 fixture where you could go big. Then in game week 3, we can guilt-free move on from Darwin Nunez regardless of his performances because the fixtures are a little bit mixed for Darwin. And with that 1 million in the bank, it gives us complete flexibility. So we could go to Nkunku for game week 3 at home against Luton. We could go up to a Watkins if we want to. We could go down to a Brighton forward if we find one that is hitting the ground running. It gives us that outlet, which I really think is important in game week 3, where I don't think we're going to make any transfers in game weeks 1 or 2. So we move Darwin Nunez to the informed forward and we carry on with that process. I love this draft. Could I go for it in game week 1? Absolutely. You're going to want to make sure you follow because this is something that I could go for, a little bit different to the FPL community. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yes, guys, okay, so that's going to wrap up today's updated FPL draft video. I really hope it's provided some value and giving you a little bit of food for thought in your own personal drafts. Just want to say a massive thank you for tuning into this video. Make sure if you haven't already, drop a like and of course, smash that subscribe button. Check out our most recent video and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.